Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. The name of this show is The Journey. I thought about making this show after going through quite a few harrowing things in my life. And I really wanted to make this just so that everybody who listens to it could potentially get something out of it. I titled it The Journey, being that I really had an awakening in 2017. And so we're just going to start there. So 2017, I made the commitment to change the type of sexual energy that I was having by committing to one woman. And at the time, I had no idea about the power of the universe. I was raised in church and understood the belief that things are not just physical, but, also spiritual. I made the commitment because I was tired of feeling those negative feelings, after the low vibrational sexual interactions. There was no event that really prompted this change. And today I believe it was my higher self yearning for freedom from the darkness. The thought was placed on my heart, and I truly committed to myself for the first time. In 2017, I'm a 39-year-old married black man with four children, two of which I live with. One passed away in 2015, just 2 years earlier, and one that I never got to know, as me and the mother did not see eye to eye on the relationship. Definitely more to come on that. So August 2017 was, home alone. I was on PTO, paid time off. And I decided I would go, check out my stock options, see what was really going on, see if I had some money going. And using the shared family desktop computer, I proceeded to go to the internet, but accidentally clicked on the text messaging application. When I noticed I had opened the incorrect application, it dawned on me that someone's messages were being recorded on the shared family computer. And, we never did that, Um, and so clicked on the first message, which there I found a text message to my then wife's work phone from her personal phone with the I miss you text using her Bitmoji. For anybody who doesn't know what Bitmojis are, it's pretty much a cartoon picture of yourself. Um, and so I then called and asked her, who she missed. And she lied at first. And she said, I miss you, but soon confessed that it was another man. I was floored. Although I had done my share of cheating in the relationship, I just could not handle it from the perspective, of I deserved it, or, we were even. I found myself in a state of, instant anger, fear, sadness, and deep regret. It was the first time in my life that I could see the dark energy I was perpetuating and how it has now brought my life to a screeching halt. Over the next 5 years, I would find myself through a healing journey that has changed my life in the most impactful ways. On this podcast, I will take you on the journeys of men that have successfully found themselves. My desire is that these interactions and conversations provide insight into the nature of life, and that by using mindfulness techniques, that your life will be forever renewed. May the universe forever be in your favor. So just to give you a little background on myself, um, I was born in 1978 to of course, a mom and a dad. That relationship didn't really last too long. They were pretty much divorced and done with each other by the time I was 8 years old. I have a twin sister, and I also had a little brother, and he also passed away. So one thing you will be hearing quite a bit in, me giving out my life story is that I've seen a lot of death, and I mean really close to me. Okay, so I really do believe that this is one of those, family generational curses that, is, was destined to be broken. Um, so, of course, my parents get divorced. We live primarily with my mom. My dad comes to visit on the weekends. And, he's pretty much in our lives. And I would probably say that by the time I was 15 is when I started to, have sex. And I had no guidance. So I had no male guidance, no female guidance, no real adult guidance to, you know, help you along this journey to give you some type of insights, not just into, sexual health as far as physical health, but as well as mental health. And so now that I'm a 45-year-old man, I am definitely understanding that this is something that needs to be discussed and discussed early on. Um, so by the time I'm 8, my parents are divorced. I end up in many different relationships, and one of the relationships that I had was really my first time feeling this energy, but I just didn't recognize it. And so I was with a young lady, and we dated for probably a good 4 years, and of course in that relationship I was cheating. I would get caught, we would break up, we would get back. And, one day I guess she just realized that she just did not want to be with me anymore. And she had found somebody else, and she gave me a call. And she pretty much, gave me the news and was like, hey, this guy is treating me really well. And, he asked me how my day is. He's making me cookies. And, his name was Ernest. And I was laughing. I thought that was funny, like Ernest. All right. But my heart was broken. And I remember, you know, never feeling that way before, right? Finally understanding that, wow, I do have feelings for her and I really do care about her. Um, and I remember, laying in the bed for, days on end, just crying, and I would call her, this was before text messaging, so I would call her up and I would, like beg to get back, and she would just tell me, no, it's over. And so, one day I was supposed to go get picked up from work, and I was working the Christmas shift. So of course the store was open until like midnight. Right. And Old Navy, I used to work at Old Navy, and Old Navy's never open at midnight. All right. So this is the one offs. And so she was supposed to come pick me up, and she flaked on me and she did not come. And I stood out there for like 45 minutes, and nobody ever came. And so I literally had to walk home that night. And mind you, I probably live like 5 or 6 miles away from the store. Okay. So I pretty much walked all the way home. And the one thing that I do remember is the anger that I felt, and I was like, why me? Why am I feeling this way? And I pretty much lashed out, and I got with, some of my friends, and, we started doing a ton of criminal activity. All right. And eventually that criminal activity landed me in jail. I ended up having to do about 13 months in the county jail after that relationship. And when I first got picked up, my two co-defendants got bailed out by their family. Their family came to bail them out. My mom and dad did not come. They didn't spend a dime. But guess who showed up? My ex. And she bailed me out. And so, of course, I was like, oh, wow, okay, so maybe we have a chance, right? Maybe we have a shot. And sure enough, she shot that down immediately. Nope, no chance. I just wanted you to not be in jail. So of course that was, you know, totally detrimental. So I end up having to do 13 months in jail, no girlfriend. And of course, when I was in jail, I was pretty thankful for that because I watched a bunch of guys, like beat the phone up where, your relationship has to end when you're in jail. All right. Mine had ended previous to me going to jail. So it made it a little easy. Right. But I really do think that that was the first time that that energy was really being shown to me. And I just did not have the proper tools to, you know, take on that large of a task and go inside of my psyche and, look at the part of me that, needed to heal in order to have a successful relationship. So that was the first thing. But pretty soon, once I got out of jail, I really started to get my life together. And I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. But sure enough, I still did not handle the trauma that was related to, you know, being in a relationship with someone, as far as like your mom and your dad, and then being able to transfer that to somebody I really care about. So, of course, I was still hanging out with the wrong crew. One of these guys, he was supposed to be my buddy. He asked me if he could use my ID, and I let him use my ID to go get a hotel room. Now, I had no idea what this hotel room was going to be used for. So later on that night, it dawned on me like, man, you should probably stop by and, go see what are they doing in this room, because you're going to be responsible for anything, any damages that gets caused. All right. So I show up, and of course I got this pocket full of weed. Okay. And weed is totally illegal at this time. I might as well have cocaine in my pocket. So when I get to the room and I knock on the door, they open the door, and I immediately see two young ladies. Okay. And they do not look like they're old enough to be out this late. And it's probably about 9 or 10 o'clock. So I immediately start telling them, nope, wrap this up. Okay. Put your clothes on, all the stuff you got to do. And the room is filled with, candy. It's nerds candy all on the floor. There's an empty bottle of Remy Martin. And the phone is one of those old school phones where you have to put the, receiver to your ear, and then you have a little base where you can dial numbers. Now the receiver is disconnected from the base. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Cut this out. Go home. Everybody go home. As I'm kicking people out, I probably wasn't in that room for 5 minutes, and there's a knock on the door. So I asked them, you guys expecting anybody? They said no. When I look out the peephole, it's the police. So now I'm like, okay, what's really going on here? So I open the door, and me and the police are talking, because obviously they want to talk to me because the room's in my name. So now I'm trying to explain to them that I just showed up here, and they really didn't go for it until one of the drunk girls, was like, yeah, he just got here. And I'm trying to show him, like, I got on this whole pea coat because it's wintertime. I got on a whole pea coat. It's about 90 degrees in the room. And I'm like, I really just got here, so I got my coat on still. So anyhow, long story short, they want to know, okay, we're going to let whoever's not responsible for this, going to let them off the hook. So just tell us who bought the alcohol. And them two did not want to say that they bought the alcohol. And I was just looking at them like, are you guys serious? You're going to really let me go down for this? And so they didn't say it. And then the police were like, well, we're going to have to arrest everybody. And so that's when they were able to go dig in my pockets, and they were like, yeah, this guy, he's going to jail. And the reason they said that was because the people who bought the alcohol, they were going to get a ticket. It's just, it's called site release. So I could literally give you a ticket. You don't have to go to jail. You just pay a fine. Okay. So now I'm back in jail, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just nuts. Okay. And so, of course, I got bailed out again. I did house arrest. It took me a whole year to do a 4-month sentence on house arrest, and I kept getting violated to go back to jail. So I was back and forth to jail for a whole year. So finally, once I got out of jail, you know what? I was like, I'm done. This is too much. Okay, I need to get my life together. And so I used to work for a party rental store, and when I went to work one day, I was taking some tables and chairs to a fraternity house on a college campus, UC Berkeley. And when I got in there, I was looking around, and I was like, these guys are actually going to have a college degree in 4 years. And what am I going to be doing? And I remember saying that, okay, but I still didn't act on it. And I believe it was maybe a couple of weeks later that I was late coming into work because I was out late the night before doing pickups. And so I was late that next morning to come to work. And the owner, of course, is the boss. And so, the owner is in there and he immediately tells me when I walk in the door, "You're fired. Get out." So I turn around and I walk out. So I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm losing my job." And he kind of chased me down the street. He was like, "Wait a minute. I think I overreacted." And I was like, "Nah, buddy, you didn't overreact. You know what? We're done." I was done with it. And at the time, I lived with my grandma, and I immediately went home. It was the first thing I did was to go home and to say, "Grandma, I quit my job, but I'm going back to school. And is it going to be a problem if I live here without having a job?" And she straight up was quick with the answer and was like, "Nope. As long as you go to school, you can live here." And that day, right after that conversation, I walked right back out the house, got on the bus, went to the community college, and was able to get classes, get registered, financial aid, and a little bit of extra help. They call it EOPS. They give you pencils, a backpack, some paper. But that day, everything worked out like with no effort. And so this is really the beginning of how things are working out in my life, where I know that these things are supposed to take place.